This podcast is provided for information purposes only. The MLA Group strongly recommends that listeners exercise discretion and obtain professional advice before relying on any information in this podcast.
Today is more about the art and the science, looking at how you can make a beef and lamb product which was once traditionally made out of other proteins. There's no reason why we can't make a beef salami, why we can't make a beef pepperoni. It just spoils our customers then.
This is the Australian Butchers Guild podcast, brought to you by Meat and Livestock Australia, the podcast for passionate butchers.
G'day and welcome to the Australian Butchers Guild podcast. I'm your host, Doug Piper. Episode number 40, I think it is. We've done the rounds. We've seen a few butchers along the way. Today we are going to catch up with one of the butchers we spoke to early in the piece, Ben Barrow. Benny's the head teacher at Granville TAFE in New South Wales and a bit of a legend in the small goods industry. How are you, Ben?
Yeah, very well. Thanks, Doug. Thanks for having me back on.
You're welcome, mate. You're welcome. I know you've been pretty busy lately. You've had quite a fair bit on with the TAFE Awards and a lot of judging going on.
Yeah, it's been very good for the industry, actually, with the young people coming through, but also the young people excelling at competition level as well. So it's been a privilege to be involved.
Yeah, I noticed you were up in Port Macquarie on the weekend for the AMIC Apprentice competition?
Yeah, it was. Yeah, we were judging the Australian Apprentice of the Year for New South Wales, ACT. And the skills and knowledge demonstrated at that event was excellent. The industry is in very good hands, mate.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, actually, we've seen quite a few good apprentices come through over the last couple of years, and they're different to what we were like. Well, me in particular, when I first did my apprenticeship, mate, we didn't get the opportunity to do half the things the guys are doing today, and it was more about sausages, mincemeat, and cleaning rather than being able to show your skills or learn a skill that these young fellas and tradespeople are doing.
Yeah, definitely, and just seeing the talents not only from the young men in the competitions, but the young ladies. It's just excellent to see the diverse range of young people entering our industry. And it's a credit to the employers putting them on and also their families too, supporting them through the journey.
Yeah, it's a start and they've got a long way to go.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially to catch up to me.
That's right, mate. That's right. But looking at the support that MLA provide for young apprentices, like a lot of the things that we do at TAFE New South Wales, we couldn't do without the support from yourself, Doug, and Meat and Livestock Australia. So thank you very much.
We're only too keen to invest in the industry, so we will be continuing to do so. Anyway, mate, also, on the back of the charcuterie competition, AMIC had this great charcuterie competition this year that we sponsored a category out of. What a great event, and what a great way for butchers to show a different side of their skills, like looking into the small goods area.
It certainly is, Doug. It just stems on consumer demand, but also the products that people are making nowadays, they should be really commended. The success they're having at a national level through the AMIC Charcuterie Awards, but also the Sydney Royal. It's only going to make our industry a lot better and a lot stronger moving forward.
Definitely. There was a good range of products in there from pretty much across the board. We're funded through the levies for beef and lamb. And, one thing that I've always had a passion for is charcuterie or small goods, but utilising beef and lamb more in that. So, or even goat, for instance, like I reckon goat would be a no-brainer because it's such a gamier flavour, different flavour altogether, but in particular beef and lamb to try and make different products. So we only saw 5,000 jerkies and biltongs in the competition, but there was a lot there. But there was Bastorma, there was corned beef fell into that category as well, and I think a Brazola. I think that pretty much just wrapped it up. But there's so many other things that we can make out there using beef and lamb.
Yeah, there certainly is. And just looking at the training that we provide, we're training people from all different backgrounds and religious beliefs. So it's important for us, one, to focus on that beef and lamb and goat component to make sure we're catering to everybody. And through that, you can really make some good products. We've made some excellent beef bacon. We've also made some lamb hams in the past, and not only looking at wet curing, but also we're starting to have a look at doing some dry curing. So dry cured bacon out of the eye of the chuck, for example, utilising those cuts that don't always sell throughout the summer months, but looking to value add that component.
That's a great opportunity. Being such a diverse country, and we've got so many different cultures, and for different reasons, people don't eat different types of protein. But you mentioned beef bacon using the chuck. That's a great idea. I think, it's such a versatile cut. And as you said, coming into summer, a lot of these cuts that basically their only value would be for mince, but increasing the value of it by turning that cut into some bacon. Do you separate the muscles? How do you go about it?
My plan would be to separate the chuck eye roll, then go through a dry curing process similar to what we would with our prosciuttos, or if you're going to make a lamb prosciutto. We've done those in the past as well. All about getting your ingredients correct. Obviously, your salt as your main ingredient for drying, but also looking at your final product what you want to achieve. The wet curing is a lot simpler when it comes to the injection, and you do get a good product out of it as well. I think something else to touch on too, Doug, the pastrami is probably one of the world's favourites when it comes to that wet curing process, and traditionally that was done with a brisket. And then we've evolved and we've done it with the Girello out of the silver side. And just another example how we adapt, because the brisket's in so much more demand these days.
Yeah, all year long too, isn't it? It's not just the summer months. It's 12 months of the year. Brisket's very hot on the market. So the Girello is actually a really good cut. That's one that we played with a long time ago. We did a rare roast beef for a company, and they only wanted the outside flat, and they didn't know what to do. They didn't want the Girello part on it. So I was left with bags full of these vacuum packs of Girellos in the freezer, thinking, what am I going to do? So we started doing a rare roast beef with it. We inject it with the beef brine back then, and then got a little bit adventurous and rolled it in a pastrami rub, and basically the same sort of thing. And my wife was cooking it at home in the oven, and we were putting it through the butcher shop as a like a pastrami basically, and it sold very well. And the Girello gave it that rainbow effect that you get out of the Girello, gave it a really nice colour.
Yeah, beautiful. But it just shows that I think the more we move into the small goods movement, particularly for retailers, we're going to find the ancient techniques where people building their empires off ancient beliefs from caves and from family stories about different products. But today it's more about the art and the science, and the science is where it certainly underpins the product. But looking at how you can make a beef and lamb product, which was once traditionally made out of other proteins. So there's no reason why we can't make a beef salami, why we can't make a beef pepperoni. But it just spoils our customers then for choice, not only off religious beliefs, but their choice to try something new.
So what would be, if you're a butcher out there and I don't know, maybe you've dabbled in making some biltong or some jerky or something like that. I think what's the entry level there? What would be the entry level products?
So looking at your jerky, just say jerky for number one. It's all about process, as it is with any style of small goods. Understanding your perimeters, your critical control points, and working out your recipe. So if you're starting out, I'll be doing some research. I'll be contacting the food authority in your local state as well on what the requirements are. But it's all about the AW, the available water that's in the finished product in those dried meat products. But making sure that, one, your hygiene standard is very, very strict, and also your record keeping, Doug. That record keeping is paramount. But I think when it comes to biltong as well, it's a total shift to what we've ever learnt. You're actually slicing with the grain. So there's those little variations that if you do it well, you need to focus on history.
Definitely. For a recipe and that, what you said, you do your research, obviously. So the difference between biltong and jerky, you've got a South African meat, and then you've got worldwide. So everybody, I think, America, Australia, all throughout the world, different countries make a sort of jerky of some description. The flavours and that. So the process is still basically the same for the two?
It's quite similar, although you are using some vinegar with the biltong, and the cut of meat's slightly thicker as well. So it's a longer process in the biltong. Jerky you can do quite quickly in a drying cabinet, or even in your combi steam oven you can dry it appropriately to get your moisture loss required. But the biltong is a little bit longer in process, a little bit different in specification, but the marinade is a little bit different as well. But as I said, that vinegar component to bring out those essential flavours.
What other products would be relatively easy? You mentioned beef salami, probably a pretty easy one to make, but not fermented, a cooked one.
Yeah, we actually do a very nice cooked salami in our short courses, and it's quite simple. As long as you've got a mincer, whether you've got a water bath where you can cook it, sausage filler. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Even if you want to add a little bit of smoke on it as well, or bypass that by using a little bit of liquid smoke. It's something that you can have as an entry level, and because it's fully cooked, it's safe. So if you want to slice it as a luncheon meat to trial it to see how it goes, just while we're talking on those luncheon meats, Doug, for many hundreds, if not thousands of years, that beef component has been very, very important for that. Also, the myosin extraction. Looking at good quality Berliners and Devons and beef Frankfurts, it's all about that myosin extraction that's going to be the glue to hold the other ingredients together in the final product. So, yeah, we're currently looking at doing a beef and lamb Frankfurt, and then building onto that into those luncheon Devon styles.
So extracting the myosin is working the meat, obviously, to bring it out?
Yeah, so you're relying on the functional ingredients, the salt, the sodium erythorbate, putting the nitrate into, which is going to be your colour fixture in your fight against botulism. So very important to keep your product safe. But all that needs to be happening at temperatures between 0 and 4 degrees. So that's where ice is very favourable for the process. And a bowl cutter makes that possible.
You hit on smoking a salami and using a liquid smoke. The casings that you use when you're doing a beef salami, what are they made of? Are you using a plastic one, or can you use a fibrous casing? Which would be, I suppose if you're using a plastic one, your liquid smoke, and then if a fibrous one, the smoking?
Yeah, that would be the go, Doug. Or if we're using natural skins, that would definitely be natural smoke. What I've found works really well with whether you're smoking variety of meats, the beechwood that we use at the moment at TAFE New South Wales is fantastic. It's so versatile, very subtle, but it's about your sweeteners that go in to compensate for the acidity. Yeah, it's a fine line, but yeah, if you come to the course, Doug, we'll give you the secret ingredients.
Beef sticks and cuts, little things like that, mate. They're just an air-dried product, or can you do you wouldn't bother doing a fermented one, would you? Or?
Yeah, some are semi-fermented, Doug, where they'd start off with a starter culture and then they'd be heat-treated to finalise the process. So looking at similar products that we see in the industry are chorizos, where they're semi-fermented to get that beautiful flavour profile that you're after. But beer sticks, like even beef pepperoni sticks, that's something that we make quite a lot throughout our courses. They are just beautiful. Beautiful in texture with the combination and ratio of lean meat to the fat ratio, the selection of spices that we use, but the complementing smoke flavour. Natural smoked is certainly a winner for me. Love it.
Yeah. There's something about a butcher-made product that you will not get in a supermarket. Like you go into the supermarket, and we've been caught a few times, you get a bit of cabanossi or pepperoni or even those twiggy sticks. They're so disappointing. You just go in there and buy it. But, you go down the road to the butcher shop, they make their own pepperonis, or they're doing some sort of a little beer stick and that, and it's chalk and cheese. You want to eat the one that you get from the butcher shop, but you got to eat the one from the supermarket because you bought it, It's just completely different.
Sometimes it's good to compare, Doug, to see how good the retailers are doing, because you look at I look at a number of retailers that enter our competitions, and sampling their product and judging it, it's a very good experience because we know that they're at the top of their game, which is a credit to their individual businesses, but also they must be doing the little things right to make sure that those end products are turning out the way they are. So should be something that's shared among our retail communities, I think, how we can boost up our products, particularly in the beef and lamb sector, whether it's through even a beef chabai. Imagine that, Doug. It'd be fantastic.
Yeah, nice. And, the consumer deserves to be able to taste the product too, don't they? Because they're so used to buying the stuff off the shelf in the supermarkets. They don't know anything different. They don't, it says double smoked or whatever it is, that you'll see on the packaging. Looks great, fantastic, and they get it home and they go, Yeah, that was the same as the other stuff I bought last week, as that generic brand. But when you go to the butchers and you get the product out of the shop there and it says double smoked, it actually is smoked. It's not a liquid smoke. It's a smoked product. You get that smell, you get that flavour of the hickory or beechwood or whatever.
The good things that happen with that, Doug, is people talk about it. Okay, so through our communities, people are getting a wider acceptance of it, but also they're getting very excited because they know their local butcher. Not only can they produce high quality meat cuts, but they're now producing world-renowned products out of their smokehouse, out of their drying cabinets, and it's certainly a credit to support what they're doing. Been very promising judging at these events and being able to see what consumers are actually buying.
I was looking at the different types of products, like beef in particular, that you can do like small goods with, and I sort of got stuck at around about 10 normally, disregarding corned beef, even though if it's cooked corned beef you're selling in a shop, okay, it's small goods. But we can do beef bacon, we can do beef ham as well, which I know you guys had a crack at the other year, and a couple other butchers did using Topside. You got beef salami, you got your jerky, your biltong, pastrami, basturma, bresaola, beef chorizo, and there was one I came across, and I don't know if you've heard, it's cecina. Yeah. It's a Spanish beef product, and it's pretty much like a prosciutto from what I can find. There's a few different variations where the first couple I looked at, I thought, you got to be kidding. It's like absolutely dehydrating the bejesus out of a piece of meat, a thin cut piece of meat, and then a little bit of salt over it, and that was it. And it crackled up. But then I came across the proper one, which was smoked for 2 to 3 weeks, and it's air dried for several months before it's ready to a similar texture as prosciutto, and it's got that really deep red, cherry red sort of finish on it. But something I'd never heard of that before.
No. I think while we're talking about that, Doug, I back in one of my jobs before I came to TAFE, I was working at a small goods business, and I was working with a lady from the Faroe Islands, and one, I had to look up where it was, but also to understand that there wasn't much sunlight, but what there was plenty of sea spray. So they had a large abundance of lamb on these islands, and she was telling me about the windblown sheep that'd be their national dish. They'd be eating that more often than not. So once I found out about it, I actually researched a little bit, and I actually dry cured a leg of lamb for her to simulate what she'd experienced as a child on these Faroe Islands. And it was amazing. Took her back to her childhood. Absolutely loved it. While we're not doing that day in, day out, it's a great product.
How long did it take you to dry that?
With the forced air drying, it was around about 6 weeks.
Wow, that's good.
In controlled units, yeah.
And you've obviously got that at TAFE.
Yeah, so we've got some very good Staginello units at TAFE that's where we do our commercial salamis. We just had a batch done a couple of weeks ago, actually, so they're off at the lab now getting tested. Yeah, we'll be looking at doing some more of those once our next class goes into curing. So they'll be doing everything from wet curing through to dry curing. We might try that chuck eye roll in that dry cured bacon.
And use a chuck roll. You wouldn't use a whole chuck, would you? Because your neck section wouldn't be too useful.
No, but also think about the size, Doug. You need to have something that's going to be suitable size for, say, a piece of bread, for example, or a bread roll.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So that's something that I'm focused on, developing that.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I'm intrigued with that. It makes me want to go and do it myself, have a crack too. So maybe I might go to TAFE and learn how to do it. I'll wait till you guys do it and then I'll come over.
Always welcome, Doug.
No, it's always good to chat to you, mate, because I always learn so much, and the whole process around small goods and everything. I think there's such an opportunity out there for butchers to put their stamp on things. I would say, if you want to get recognised, you've got to enter some of these competitions, whether it be the RAS or whether it be AMIC charcuterie competition. But get that recognition. You can use that to then leverage your win or what you've done in that competition to get yourself more marketing, do marketing around it to get more people to come into your business to try the products.
Yeah, certainly. I think the more you get into the small goods side of things, for me, I found a lot of enjoyment from not only learning how to make small goods through my career, but being able to have success along the way with small goods. It's certainly empowering, but also helps you build up and also the people around you. So for retail businesses, I can see it as certainly a win-win, particularly if they've got all their hygiene and their critical aspects under control. they'll certainly benefit. But as you say, Doug, got to celebrate the wins. Promote it on social media, promote it on every medium possible.
Just milk it. Just milk it. That's what I say. Get whatever you can get out of it and milk it, because it will pay off. You know, we see a lot of butchers out there that have been very successful over the years that have won awards or done something really good, and they've got an award for it. And you've got to get it out there, because that's what gets you recognised. If you don't, and just put that trophy in the back of your butcher shop and don't say anything about it, no one's going to know.
No, that's right. Stand loud and proud. Definitely.
Yeah. Definitely, mate. How often do you hold the small goods courses, mate?
So we do a Cert 3 in small goods, which is that starts at the beginning of each year. We do our shortened skill sets. So we run those probably around 2 to 3 times a semester. So that's our ham and bacon course, where we incorporate beef and other species. We do our sausage class, which is heavy on beef, taken around the world in flavours. That's all been broken down into 2-night classes, the same fee, get dinner on arrival as well. So it's bringing them into the culinary experience where they're going to eat what they're going to make. One, take a bit more appreciation for what the butchers do behind the scenes, but also for butchers to learn even one little thing on how they can improve their process. I think you touched on it earlier, whether it's just a simple thing in their sausage production, or if it's in the way they prepare their products for brining or dry curing, and also that recipe formulation. All those things are vital. And then importantly, the costing. How are we going to cost that to make sure it's going to be a product that's going to be viable for us?
That's the most important part, isn't it? Making sure that you're going to get your return on it, because you're investing your time, your money in making the product. So you've got to be able to make something out of it. So, taking everything into account, what you're spending, to make sure you're getting a return. The sausage range in butchers, it's fantastic. There's just so many different flavours out there. Every time you go into another butcher shop, somebody's got something new out there. One of the common things I think a lot of boys they ask you about, because you're judging the sausage competition, they go, how can I do better? And I think the biggest issue is a lot of guys just try too hard to make that competition sausage, that sausage for the competition. They tend to try too hard to win it. I think you just got to do what you do every day, follow the guidelines, making sure that you're using fresh ingredients. Don't think just that little bit more salt or that little bit more, this is going to give it a bit more flavour, because sometimes it doesn't work. A lot of times it doesn't work. And I know one guy who asked me that question, and I just said to him, mate, don't try too hard. Just do what you normally do, and he did it, and he got a win with it.
Yeah, that's a lot of truth in what you're saying there, Doug. And you see it time and time again as a judge. The harder people work, it doesn't essentially mean the product's going to be that good. I think my word of advice would be keep it simple. Do what you do week in, week out. It's validated by your customers. They turn up and they buy the product, and they're your audience that are saying, yep, you're doing a great job. So stick to what you know, focus on the success from your sales, and then submit those for judging, because it's quite funny. I think I've actually done that myself too, Doug, in certain competitions, and worked extremely hard and got unfavourable results. So a lot of truth in what you're saying.
I'm afraid that's what it is. That's all it boils down to. Your customers are validating what you're already making. So just make it. Not everyone's a winner, though. Not everyone's a winner. But hopefully you'll do better.
Oh, no. But also with that, Doug, if you get negative feedback on your first round, take that on board. Listen to some of the feedback, because I know through the competitions there are constructive feedback provided by judges. That's going to not to degrade you as a tradesperson or a business owner. It's there to assist and inspire you to have success. Yeah, sometimes criticism not the easiest thing to listen to, but it can be a good tool to use. I just think the industry is in very good hands, Doug, with the amount of support in profiling businesses through social media, through our community practices. I know a lot of our retailers around the country do a lot for communities, sporting groups, and being able to produce those products, whether it's sausages on a stable basis or getting into those intricate parts of the small goods industry, but showcasing and making beef and lamb I suppose a bit of a tribute to those species in our small goods would be something really special to see, and just seeing what people can come up with And hopefully at the next round of awards, there'll be a nice category for you, Doug.
Best ham, best beef ham, best beef bacon. Yeah, best lamb bacon. Definitely, mate. I think there's a lot of opportunity, like I said before. Love to see the category grow. The bigger it grows, the more involved we'll become to support it. So, butchers, if you are doing anything like that, I would love to see, you can contact me through the Australian Butchers Guild, through butchers@mla.com.au. Send me through some photos of what you're doing, or even through our socials, send them through that way. Message me there. We'd love to see, and we'll promote your stuff on our posts just to show other butchers what you're doing. So get in contact with us and love to see what you're up to. Benny, as always, mate, lovely to see you, mate. Great to chat with you again. I'll be out to see you about the small goods courses shortly.
Thanks very much, Doug, and thanks again for your support for the apprentices in New South Wales and around the country. It's very important to have the industry support. Love spending time with you, mate. Well done.
Yeah, no worries, mate. Looking forward to that Frosty one day.
Sounds good. See you, mate.
All right, Benny. See you, mate. Thanks a lot.
Care has been taken to ensure the accuracy of the information contained in this podcast. However, MLA, MDC and ISC, the MLA Group, do not accept responsibility for the accuracy, currency or completeness of the information or opinions contained in this podcast. This publication is intended to provide general information only and has been prepared without taking into account your specific circumstances, objectives or needs. Any forward-looking statements made within this podcast are not guarantees of future performance or results, and performance or results may vary from those expressed in or implied by any forward-looking statements. No representation, warranty, or other assurance is given as to the fairness, accuracy, completeness, likelihood of achievement, or reasonableness of forward-looking statements or related assumptions contained in the publication. You should make your own inquiries before making decisions concerning your interests. Your use of or reliance on any content is entirely at your own risk, and the MLA Group accepts no liability for any losses or damages incurred by you as a result of that use or reliance.